Good morning to everybody, and you're very welcome to today's Signpost webinar. We do hope you're keeping safe and well wherever you're joining us from this morning. So today we'll be discussing digital tools for farm advisors and farmers, and you're probably wondering what this has got to do with the Signpost series and farm sustainability. But when you consider the complex nature of environmental sustainability, there is an obvious need for decision support tools, whether it's for nutrient management or mapping biodiversity and so on. So we are delighted to be joined this morning by Dr. Raquel Caetano Ferreira, who is a postdoctoral research officer with Teagasc and project manager of the Fair Share project, which is a 5-year funded, EU-funded program which aims to ensure that farmers and advisors and their organizations effectively use digital tools and services for supporting a more productive and sustainable agriculture. So Raquel, you're very welcome to this morning's webinar. Can you hear us okay? Good morning, Raquel.
Good morning. Good morning.
So Raquel, you're based in Ashtown. Could you tell us a little bit about yourself and the work you're doing on this project?
Well, good morning to all that are joining us, and thank you for the introduction. My background is in forestry, and I also worked in nature conservation in Portugal. And my family has a background in farming, so it has been a really pleasure to come here and work in Fair Share, not only to learn with others, but also to see what it has been doing and towards a more sustainable agriculture in Europe, because this is a European project with many partners, as I will explain further in my presentation, that allows us to have different perspectives and see what are the main constraints within different realities as well.
Right. And Raquel, I understand your family had a history with Teagasc before you joined. Is that right?
That is true. My mom actually, she did part of her PhD in Teagasc in 1986. And also Teagasc had a program helping the regional government of the Azores, where I'm from, in which my parents did participate, has been within staff of the university.
Great. Well, we send our regards to your mum and hope she's keeping well. So Raquel, I'm going to ask you if you could share your presentation with us. And while you're doing that, just to remind everybody that we do have a Q&A tab at the bottom of the screen, and we'd encourage you to use that to send through questions to Raquel. And today's session will be recorded and available on the Teagasc YouTube channel. So Raquel, we can see your screen fine there, and yes, we'll hand over to you.
So thank you very much, Mark, for the presentation. And I would like to welcome all participants to this webinar, in which I will be sharing what has been, as Mark said, a 5 years journey of Fair Share project that is coming to an end this October. So I will be sharing with you part of the results that have been achieved during this project. And it is an Horizon 2020 project. And I have something. Okay. And it is called Fair Share because we are supposed to have the digital advisory tools in the findable, available, interoperable, sorry for my English, reusable and shareable within the community and within Europe. So it is, as I was saying, an Horizon 2020 project. And the main thing of this project, it is this coordination and support action. It means it's not mainly focus on research, but it's supporting measures such as dissemination, awareness raising, and communication, networking, policy dialogues, and mutual learning exercise and studies. And so this project is addressing the needs to improve public and private advisory services across Europe with regards to agriculture. And briefly, just to present what is Horizon 2020. So it was a financial instrument towards innovation within Union Europe. And the main thing is to create new jobs opportunities to be more sustainable and inclusive in growth and jobs. And in this particular case, in terms of agriculture, also to targeting rural development and the thriving communities. So it had 3 priorities like excellent science, industrial leadership, and societal challenges, and preparing and having practice-ready knowledge solutions. So digitalization has changed the way many services are delivered within nowadays. But in agriculture, there is a wide gap, a digital divide that still exists both at the advisor and farmer level. And so you can see here there's a bridge, and Fair Share Bridge, with its tools, expertise, and motivation, is trying to decrease this digital divide and make people more aware of the digital advisory tools, but also supporting training for having the best use of it and to get the best results that you can have with these digital advisory tools. So it has been supporting digitalization of advisory services and digital innovation on European farms, closing, as I was saying, the digital divide in agriculture and helping farmers achieve their viability and sustainability targets. It also identified, within this project, we also identified what were the most relevant good practices in digitalization and the barriers and the opportunities around this question of advisory services and their use by advisors and farmers. Also, I would like to say that this is a European project. It has 23. Has 23 EU countries with 31 partners. So it is quite a broad project and has very different perspectives. So here, what we
Raquel,
did.
sorry to disturb you there.
Yes?
Just that there is a little bar appearing across your.
Sorry.
Just in case maybe you
Okay.
want to just reshare. Now it's gone. Now actually.
Yes.
Perfect.
Okay.
Thanks.
Thank you for letting me know. So what Fair Share did, one of the things was to create like a library, so an inventory where you can add your digital advisory tools and services, and you can search which are the ones more suitable for your specific case or which you think can be useful in the future. So at the moment, it has over 350 DACs and was created and implemented and being implemented, it allows 2 main actions. The one is to engage advisors to talk about the tools and service they use and to share with others, because some services have very good tools to their reality and others have developed others for their reality, but some can actually be changeable and can be used in different services in different realities sometimes, because maybe the main objectives are the same. And also the second action was that it improves advisory access to use digital tools and digital skills. And what was done was to create 42 user cases. And within these user cases, what was accomplished was to have real situations within this concept of living labs, where you could see how it was before, and through 2 years of implementation of these user cases, of this approach, you could see how it was afterwards of the implementation. And within those 2 years, what was done was partners created a roadmap. They did a business case. They had training, because not all of us have the same technological skills, and it will be the same for the advisors, of course, and farmers. So there was a training sessions, and that it started to evolve from the beginners to more advanced, and along this way people could see what was the main benefits and constraints they had in that user case. And that was very interesting, because it also allowed to have different actors collaborating, like scientists, farmers, advisors, end users, and also the user case, and it trial the problem. So identify the problem and selected one or two digital advisory tools that they thought could be the most suitable to resolve that problem, and that was the main result. So here I have just a brief snapshot of how is it organized. And in the beginning, we wanted to have 200 DATs, and we are very happy to have already 354. So, and then you can select, and I will show in a more interactive way how it does work and what are the different possibilities. But just a brief summary. For example, if you're searching for communication and dissemination tools, you will find 17 of those. And if you're considering having a digital tool that can help you in meat production, it can be rabbit, poultry, or the traditional ones, dairy, cows, and you can have 64. And also some of the DATs will fall in more than one agricultural sector. And there are DATs also according to the agricultural practice, if it is organic or non-organic. And some of them do have the respective training course, which I will show you here. So, for example, at the moment we have 198 training modules. And you can see, for example, the first one, it says the target audience is advisors and farmers, and it is available in French, and there is no information regarding the time that it's necessary. But if you go to the last one, it is, again, it identifies the DATs. It is in Spanish. It takes 4 hours, and the target audience is advisors. And here you have in bigger detail, it is the type of, what is the main objective, what is the type of training, in this case is distance learning, what are the supporting materials, it is a user guide by PDF, PDF document, the necessary equipment, the computer, the internet, what are the keywords, so in this case is herbicide and weed management. And then if you have questions, you can contact them through the email, and then you have links with the additional information. And so here I will just do a brief, I would like to, we did it in the practice and everything was okay.
Do you want to do a demo? Is it, Raquel?
Yes.
If you click on that link, will it just pop it open?
No, it says it doesn't. Okay, we'll skip this part, and I do apologize, but I will try to do it in the end. So this is the user case map. And it is, as I was saying, it's across all Europe, and it has various sectors like horticulture and crops. With the ones that says various sectors, it means that it's the problem that was addressed. It can be used in most of the sectors, so it's broader spectrum. And then you have livestock, poultry. We only had one, and then dairy. There is 2 user cases. And also within this, no, it's not working. Okay, so these are the user cases that were considered, and because the project was becoming very interesting, and also because of these user cases, new partners were added in 2021, and from Denmark, Latvia, Portugal, and for example, also Finland. And here I have a video that, oh God, that it will show. And I just summarizing what is the user cases and how they have been useful.
Our user case in Teagasc is a case where we're looking at the use of more mobile digital technologies. So in other words, it's about having tools that you can use on the farm with the right equipment that you can actually use them with farmers and show them and demonstrate on the farm how they work.
Our user case is about a comprehensive system supporting the collection of data of the market of fertilizers.
It's about cupra.
Our user case is about the data that we collect in our poultry sheds.
Our user case is ecosystem services powered by Forest Sim.
That the other user cases are also struggling with the same issues.
Change energy, change experience, and learn about how to spread our platform Forest Sim and help forest owners and advisors to communicate more the benefits of this platform.
The main benefit of FairShare is that we have at our disposal over 280 digital advisory tools.
For example, we learned that all together we had the similar issues, the similar problems, but we try to figure out to find a solution in a different way. So it's good to exchange those practices, let's say.
Well, for the main benefit was the sharing with the partners of their recommendation and their experience. It was really interesting because they are coming from different production, different countries. So it was really the diversity of point of view was really interesting.
Learn more in FairShare.inventory and follow us on our social media to stay updated.
So this video was filmed in the last annual conference that we had in Den Bosch. So it is already sharing what has been done. So I would like to also share with you what is the two user case, some examples of user cases. And the first one is coming from Serbia. It is applied to dairy. And that was for the improvement of health and welfare of dairy cows in South of East Europe. And what they did in this case was to improve awareness and management of mastitis in dairy cows. And the digital tool they used for this specific user case was the one developed by Teagasc that is already some years and has been implemented and calibrated according to feedback. And so they used it in their user case and this is an example of how they can be transferable and also reusable for other partners. The other case, user case is from Patriosk Selskab from Denmark. They have created their digital advisory tool. It is DigiWeed, and it is to target herbicides treatments, for example, for weed control in crops. So they have been using this for quite long, and they are very happy with the results, and they have been implementing it in a way that it can be more sustainable for the environment because less herbicide is being spread, but also has an economic benefit for the farmer, and it is targeting what is the problem, so it doesn't have so many side effects and impacts that normally having a wide spread herbicide will have in the field. And then, for example, we have two successful Irish examples of user cases. Dicta was the digital agricultural advice developed by Teagasc, and it is within various sectors, because what they did in this case was to trial two advisory regions with new tablet computer devices with internet access to bring digital solutions to the farm in the field. Because if you go with a tablet, you can easily handle it in your hand, and then you can show, for example, if you're speaking with a farmer, you can show, for example, maps. It's very easy to show. It has a positive visual impact. But whereas if you go with your computer, first you won't get internet, and then you're bumbling with it in your hand, it can fall. If it was with me, it would fall for sure. And so this is a very practical way to to give advice in the field and to discuss with the farmers. So they have very good results also. And of course, they identified some constraints, but all of them, as for example, you saw in the video, many of the constraints are common to all, and also some of the good results are very common. And the other one was, the other Irish user case was the Agricultural Consultants Association. So the challenge was to test and adapt the Teagasc slurry storage capacity calculator in the Irish private consultancy, agri-consultancy network. So what they did, they developed, they had this user case. They had 20 advisors trialing it in 5 farms. So in a total, 100 farms were trialed with this digital advisory tool. And it is interesting because I spoke before about training, and that not everyone is within the same level. So they said that many participants within this user case expressed the need for initial training and ongoing support to help them understand how to use the digital advisory tools effectively. And this was common across all the user cases, and that's why the project also had a very important a very important part that was the training, and stressed a lot the necessity for it. And also they identified like useful for training, like video tutorials, step-by-step guides, and refresher courses, so you can be updated. And also they, as a result, they say that this tool allowed their advisors to give their customers important information about nutrient management, while also encouraging them to complete such assessments of farms. And finally, I will pass the videos at the end, unfortunately, because it's not working as well. But for example, we will have this modules, and that there will be online, and so it's for the training, for adult training, and also how to use the digital advisory tools. But I would like to stress the importance of the last one, module 3, which is the importance of sharing knowledge, of storytelling, and that is very interactive, because it's a two-way interaction between a storyteller and the listeners that are connecting with each other, and they are sharing knowledge, they are sharing concerns, and what could be possible solutions. And for that, I would like to invite you to come to the Ploughing Championship stand for FairShare, and also within Teagasc, where you can question and discuss with the Teagasc advisors how, by joining the digital revolution, that is the use of that in agriculture, what are the benefits for farmers, which are the access to information to manage and grow their farm business in an efficient way. And also, lastly, you can also visit the website, where you can have the user cases, the good practice videos, and also more information can be found that you can explore, like, for example, the cross visits. That it was something that was very interesting with this project, because different user cases went to visit people from different user cases, went to visit other user cases, has a cross visit, and they could exchange information and try to help with the other user cases, with their problem, with their concerns. And also, and finally, it will be a pleasure if you could come and participate at FairShare Final Conference that will be held in Saloniki in Greece. And it will be next October, the 2nd and the 3rd. And also will be a back-to-back event with Smart Agri Hubs. So there is also a possibility to interact with other projects within digital revolution and digital advisory tools. And now I will just briefly present what I had more interactive and more interesting. So just not for be myself speaking, and I hope no,
something and hiding on you there. And it'd be also interesting to find out those modules as well, Raquel. They look interesting to find those on the site.
Can you see me? Can you see my screen?
Yes, we can see your.
Okay.
Yeah.
So now we have. I can show you the different dots, and then you can select language. I promise I won't select Portuguese as I'm Portuguese, but I will select English. And then you have here the English digital advisory tools. And for example, if you want to choose an agricultural sector, if you want to, for example, animal production in general, you will see here what are the main digital advisory tools that are within that concern, within that matter. And then, for example, you go down and they will say how many tools there are. In this case, there are exactly 25. But then, for example, if you want to come and hear what are the challenges addressed, and we can put here CAP management, and you have 3. So it allows you to explore all these kind of things. And also,
I noticed, Raquel, that some of the apps that you're showing there are freely available as well. The likes of,
yes,
are using commonly available platforms, likes of Google Web Maps and stuff like that.
Yes. And for example, the one that we were speaking about, the ACA example, and you can come here and it is who uploaded. It is applied in Ireland, but it can be trialed in other cases, and it is in English. And then who is the provider, and then who is it for? And in this case, for farmers, cooperatives, agronomists, and advisory services, how it works. So it has a small introduction and why to use it. So it has here what are the benefits from using it and what are the challenges addressed. So this is very intuitive tool and inventory to use. And for example, if you want, you have here what are the delivery modes, and also, for example, the category. If you want radio, social media, analysis, benchmarking, e-mapping, for example, we can have here. And then, for example, this one, it is from Spain. And then you can have more information on how it is. It is in Spanish in this case. And again, who is it for and how to use it. And this one is also free to use. And here I will present to you, I was speaking about the good practice videos that were done, that were made, during the project. And this is the one that supports climate change and mitigation and adaptation, because there are several digital tools with this main objective. Okay. I want to share. Sorry.
This is not a water bottle. It's an air bottles that flavor.
And I want to share finally this this digital tool that was developed, and it is a platform which is AgNav, and which you can actually discuss in more detail when it's within the plowing championship, because there will be people explaining, advisors, and how you can use it. So thank you very much. I do apologize for some not being the perfect presentation in terms of technology. I should practice more, but I hope it was very useful. And
no, it was excellent. And Raquel, while you're still sharing there, you showed a few of the courses or the modules that can be taken. Where would one might find those on the platform?
It is here, and you come here to training material, and you have the training modules. And again, you can select the language, and then most likely English will be the most important at this point. And then you have one here for Arnus University. Again, it's a multi-language, doesn't have the information about the duration, but it does have who are the target audience. So here you have, and you can see here the platform site, and you can use it because it will be live and still going on after the project came to an end. And so here you have all the information. It has a very broad scope of digital tools with the training that you can explore and search, and then most of them do have the contacts of the people that you can address if you have any questions, or you would like to better understand how it works.
Perfect. That's great. Well, thanks very much for that, Raquel. That's
Thank you.
a few questions coming in here, but just maybe before we get to that, you talked about the communications tools. Has there been much discussion around the use of AI tools within this whole area of digital advisory tools?
For the moment, no, but I am sure it will be a concern in the coming time, because actually I was reading an article yesterday, and they say that artificial intelligence will change the way that we see the world. So it's becoming more and more a daily subject. So most likely it will also have an impact in this kind of advisory tools.
Yeah, there's been a lot of discussion about the use of AI, and I think there's some excellent work happening here in Ireland as well around the whole ag tech sector. But this is a fantastic resource to have. Is it 140 or 198 different tools from across the EU? So I think an inspiration for anybody who's thinking about developing a tool, or who's maybe looking at seeing what's out there already and perhaps could be adapted for their own country scenario, or indeed maybe can get permission to use the tool in a different country. A few questions here coming through, Raquel, in relation to the project itself. Question here in relation to from your own forestry background. It asks, can you tell us if there are any digital tools that can aid farmers to navigate through the FSC and PEFC certification processes? So this is relating to the sustainable forestry. More of a technical question, but maybe you'd like to comment on that.
Yes, there is one, and it's Portuguese. It's called Forest Sim, and it is a digital tool that allows people, forest owners, and they are developing also to be applicable to farmers in the way that you can tick and see how are you addressing the sustainability targets. And if you are complying with those, it gives you a score. So I'm not sure. I'm not sure if it is in English, but if it is something that it can be easily adaptable to English, and also for the different landscapes, because the criteria is the same across the FSC criteria is the same across the European countries, so you can use that to support you within forestry and agroforestry as well.
Right, and looking at the different user cases and the trial with the tablets that you were discussing earlier on in Ireland, what was the reaction by farmers to that, or was there feedback from farmers about that whole engagement around the tablets?
Oh yes, there, as like in everything, some are very keen and others are not so keen. But for many advisors said the farmers, they were very happy to see the results and to discuss in the field, looking at the maps, and it is very visual, you see, and it allows to have a good perception of what is going on. And also the advisors said they'd allow them to deliver better services for their clients and to have it more clear. So I think it was a very interesting user case, and with very good results. Some farmers are very keen on this approach in the field and discussing things, having the data in front of them, and discussing through and going through and testing different realities and seeing and perspectives.
And was broadband much of an issue? I know mobile broadband is improving in Ireland, but was there any feedback around that?
Yes, in some cases, and in fact, across a lot of user cases, one of the problems that it was identified, it is the issue with the broadband, in fact.
So that I presume is one of the recommendations from the project, is for our telecommunications companies to improve the quality. But look, generally, I think it is fairly positive in Ireland, but maybe there are some black spots around the country. And just continuing along with that whole area with the tablets, I mean, what were they most useful for? Was it mapping, or was it dealing with department schemes and so on?
Mapping, yes, and in the last months with acres, so they use it a lot for acres.
Excellent. And were there any specific recommendations? I know that the project is coming to a close now, and you'll have the final conference next month. Were there any other recommendations, having gone through the 5 years and collecting all of these different advisory tools from across Europe? Will the project be producing a set of recommendations for policy or for advisory services?
Yes, there is, of course, recommendations based on the evaluation that was made for every user case, and in this case 42 user cases. And many aspects are common within them, and others are very particular. For example, you were speaking about the broadband. For the broadband in Lithuania, it's much different from the one in Ireland, and for sure different from the one in France. So those are particular issues to the country. But then other issues that everyone thought it was very interesting. First is how to engage and make people aware that these tools exist and how they can use them. And when we come to this, the next thing that comes more often is the importance of training. And how do you deliver the training? Some people agree that it can be distance learning, but also they would like to have together, like they did in the cross visits, and change ideas. It is much better if you have an interactive with person to person that you discuss. So these are important things to have in mind. And like we were discussing the other day, ACEs. It is interesting, but it has to be broader in this sense that it allows more personal communication and interchange of knowledge, good practices, and what are the things that you can do together in co-creation. And also another thing that was very interesting, that they believe that it is not someone that creates an advisory tool. It is good that it's co-created between the advisors, the farmers, and maybe the IT. So together you come with a better solution than just like having a DATS and then you use it. But then if you do it together as a team and you discuss the aspects and you reflect on those, it is much better in terms of how it will be applicable and the use of and being used.
Yeah, well, I totally agree with that principle of engaging with your end users from the very beginning. It's really crucial to having a product that's usable and relevant, of course. Pat, some interesting questions coming in there from our audience.
So there's a question there. What is the governance structure around the tools, and how do you ensure that information shared is appropriate, up to date, and best practice? I presume that's more around the individual developers, making sure that they're cooperating in a way and making sure that there's a degree of customization, etc., that may be required across national boundaries.
And how do you share the information?
Well, I suppose how you share the systems and that are being developed, if you can share them across different, I suppose, different countries in particular,
yes,
to make sure that you have the structures in place to allow you to use it and to make sure that it's appropriate.
Yes, so this is why this is what they had for the user cases, doing it in different countries, different legislations, different governance how you say, backgrounds. But for example, these ones, and everyone can add digital advisory tools to this platform, so it can be reachable to everyone in the world actually, and you can use it and share what is necessary. I'm not sure if I addressed the question.
Yeah, and I know. I suppose it's about making sure that the quality of the product is and that it's effective where it's being used. Have you seen many cases of cooperation arising from the DATs that have been put up, where others are taking on either the core principles or the tool itself?
Oh yes, because when they get together, they discuss how can it be used. For example, there are some tools that maybe are not so used in one country, but they can be very useful in another, because they are maybe a bit far behind, or they are starting to implement it. For example, in Croatia, they trialed two different digital advisory tools, and then they came to realize it will be very useful for the whole country and not for the specific services. So they had the training for all over the government advisory services, so that everyone could learn and use this. And so you discuss things between each others, and also the cross visits were very useful for that.
I suppose I personally have been on a long journey in this space, going back at the 30 years, looking at and looking at various systems being developed across Europe, and we've been involved in developing a lot of systems here. And to me, this is a really important initiative to start getting, I suppose, cross-thinking right throughout Europe. But would I be unfair in asking the question, is fair share just should it be just the start of a process? And there's a long way, I think, to go in terms of leveraging what you now have in fair share for future development and future toolkits for advisors. Is that fair? And what do we need to do then to leverage what's already been done?
So it is to maintain what it is, the starting of the bridge, as I showed in the beginning. And other projects, for example, are taking the lead and to implement also what was developed and created in fair share, and go further in the future, and how to leverage and how to better and make it more a daily use. And make it a routine to use digital advisory tools to support a more sustainable agriculture. And one of them is, for example, Quantifarm, and the other one is EU Farm Book. We are they will be evaluating our work, but also they will integrate in their platform what it has been done and what are the results, for example, the trainings, all this kind of information. But you are very right, because sometimes the projects go on and then they finished, and we are not so sure where to find the information afterwards and how it will progress in the future. So that is one of the policy advices that we will, policy recommendations, sorry, that we will provide to the EU, because in fact these projects, they have to have a life afterwards. Their results and what the knowledge that was shared, it has to be live through the years and improved, of course.
Raquel, there's a few comments coming in echoing what you talked about, the issues in Lithuania and broadband, and I think some people saying that it's definitely an issue in a lot of parts of Ireland, the whole broadband access. But were there any observations made during the project around the use of smartphones by farmers, or that use of digital technology by farmers across Europe?
Yes, a lot of them do actually use the apps in the smartphones, because a lot of them, because there are apps you can use in the smartphone. But if you use it within the tablet, it's bigger, so you can have a better visualization. And indeed, the broadband in rural areas, it is a concern, and it is something that is within the EU strategy to improve the rural communities and for a better development. So I am sure that in the coming years it will be improved substantially.
Okay, and in terms of the actual digital literacy side of things, then do you think, is there work that needs to take place there in improving digital literacy amongst the farming community, or is that an issue?
I think with all we are always learning, so it's not only the farm community, but all other sectors will have to, because we are becoming more and more digital. And for example, who had thought that you will buy your food by a telephone, by a mobile phone? You would never thought this in some years ago. And so it's just going along with the digital revolution. So it will come actually to all areas in industry, and agriculture, of course, has to follow, and it's following, and it's giving already some fruits of this digital revolution, and how it's going, how it is already implementing the technology. So it will, for sure, but there is always levels of different knowledge. So that's why it is very important to have the training and to better skill and upskill farmers and advisors on what is technology, because it's transforming itself every day.
I think the effort that goes into, just to finish that off, Pat, the effort that goes into the design of these apps. Yeah, in my theory is that you shouldn't need a training manual for in an ideal world for an app, that it should be so intuitive that it brings you through it. So I think that's where effort needs to go in when designing apps, whether it be a government app or be a commercial app. I think it's critically important that it's as made as accessible, given that there is such a large demographic using these apps as well, that that they are available, and even the text isn't too small on them as well. Simple things like that. Pat, sorry,
just a couple of questions, and I suppose they're relating to Irish apps. Is there funding available for farmers to cover the cost of GHG analysis app if they wish to know what their farm emissions are? And if not, is this a barrier to uptake? And I suppose maybe just in terms of that, and this may be considered a shameless plug, but the AgNav program and the Signpost advisory program is being delivered free to farmers, where you effectively sign up and get your greenhouse gas emissions. It's being currently developed and enhanced on an ongoing basis. So that is a service there which has built up around the need, the system. So unless you have anything, do you have anything further on that?
No, most of them are actually free. So, and I think it is very important also for the governments that farmers do comply with the emissions, and it is being a great deal all over the world. So most of them are actually free, and AgNav is free.
And what's the funding landscape like around these apps, Raquel? Are they typically funded by government, or are they commercial apps? I know you're saying some of them are a lot of them are free that are available, but is there enough funding available for the development of these apps, or is that something that needs to be more structured within countries?
I think it could be more structured within countries. For example, some of the example I showed from Denmark, it was the advisory service that created, but they have a fee. And I know ProAgria in Finland, they also have one, and they also have a fee for farmers. And in some cases, our farmers actually asked if there could be funding for them for applying and using this kind of digital advisory tools. And at the moment that I am aware, I don't know, but maybe it will be something that will arise in the coming future. Because if you have more extra expenses, if you want to have a more sustainable agriculture, and if you also, for example, if more demands are made to farmers, as for example ecosystem services, these kind of things, maybe it could be an important aspect to stress within the European Commission for funding for the future in this on this matter.
We have a more controversial question here, and I'm going to ask you to take off your Teagasc hat for a moment, and to ask you, how do the Irish digital advisory tools compare with other countries?
Well, there are 355, so I don't know, but I can say that they are good because actually they were trialed by other countries. So it means that in these countries they didn't have something developed that they had to use and trial the ones from Ireland. So I do think the ones made by Teagasc are in a good stand and are actually good tools, and then can be applied in other countries, like the one from Status.
Mark, that's almost like asking her which of her children does she prefer. Very undiplomatic. Just in terms of ongoing funding and the hope for ongoing funding, is there a work being prepared in terms of a follow-on projects?
That will be discussed soon, but there is some follow-up projects already being running. For example, as I mentioned, Quantifarm and also EU Farm Book. But that will be discussed also for the future, and hopefully it will have a continuation.
Okay.
Really. Sorry, go ahead, Pat.
No, it's just, I suppose, another point which and in the initial phases of development of systems, we tend to focus on the technical part, calculating the footprints or identifying the issues. But with the toolkit we have, is there a movement towards using the toolkits we have to communicate with farmers, or to help advisors to communicate with farmers and improve that communication, and then improve uptake of the recommendations and the advice that's being given? Is that a feature that's, I suppose, within the DATs themselves?
Yes, because communication is one of the important aspects and it is one of the digital tools that are considered. It's communication and interacting with the farmers and within the advisors as well.
Yeah, and that comes through very much in the final one of the final questions we have here. Farmers, rural isolation is an issue, we know, in many parts of Europe, and there's a concern from this particular audience member that, by putting in digital devices in between farmers and their advisors, are we affecting that relationship, and by not speaking to a live person, or buying your food at the market. I presume this person refers to online shopping and so on. So were there any observations around that social impact of digital tools, or even your own observations?
I think because they don't replace the advisor. They are a tool for a better management, but they won't replacing it. But they can be very important aspects of it. For example, you were speaking about buying the supermarket. In this kind of things, yeah, you do lose, but in this particular case within agriculture, you always have to discuss a little bit the results, because I think it's the essence. It is a tool, but it is a way to get to. And also, it is a way to monitor how you are. I can give you an example from Austria. They were having, they want to have small, short supply chains. So what they did, they developed this tool and tried to connect the farmers with government agencies, not agencies, for elderly houses. So they tried to have this and try to see what they needed for the canteens. So now they are working together, and for example, some farmers they do plan their crops according to what was asked in the past 2 or 3 years within these canteens. So they are working together. It was a tool to monitor and to assess, to do an assessment on what were the needs and how you could help within the community. So it doesn't replace, it is a tool, and it has been very important in this specific case, and I'm sure other cases are as well.
Okay, Raquel, we're just coming up on time. Pat, unless you have any further.
Just one comment, and I suppose we always talk about farmers being isolated, but to a degree, our agricultural advisors can be, particularly in individual countries, can be a bit isolated. And I certainly would like to heartily congratulate quite a number of people under a good bit of leadership from Tom Kelly in terms of bringing together not just this project, but a lot of projects and organizations to bring together advisory personnel across Europe, because I suppose we're an island. We have been very isolated. I think a lot has been done there to improve that situation. It's a huge help. A lot of our private advisors in particular are quite isolated, and I think there's a lot more to be done, but a huge amount of work has been done, and congratulations to those who have been involved in that.
Yeah, no, I'd like to echo that, and like you say, Tom Kelly, who was the brainchild, I think, of this particular project in the start. Huge congratulations to Tom on this successful project, and Raquel, to you and your team for bringing it to the point of completion in October, and best wishes in that final launch.
Thank you very much.
And thank you again for joining us this morning. And just, you mentioned the ploughing championships there. We do hope that anyone who's on today will come and visit us at the Teagasc stand. It'll be the largest stand we've had in some time, and the overall theme this year is science supporting farmers, with interactive exhibits addressing every aspect of farming. So do come and visit us next week. You can Google the stand number, and also you can Google the Fair Share project. There's a full the website is openly available to anybody who wants to find out more about the tools, the modules, and various outputs from the project as well. So next week, we're going to be joined by Professor Maeve Henshin and Dr. Jennifer Attar, who are with Teagasc and MTU, and we're going to be talking about a project called AgroBridges, and talking about the challenges and solutions to developing short food supply chains. So do join us next week for that really interesting area of short food supply chains, which I think is going to become more and more important into the future. So until then, enjoy the weekend, and we will talk to you all next Friday morning.